In the face of extreme societal and financial pressures, devastating reviews, non-existent sales, and a husband who disparaged her work, the artist Paula Modersohn-Becker could not be stopped. This pioneering figure in early German Expressionism defied convention, abandoned perspective, and painted unusual subject matter in a striking palette. She painted what she saw, and apparently how she saw differed greatly from those around her. She had many firsts. First female artist to paint herself nude while pregnant, and to have a museum devoted exclusively to her work. Ambitious, driven, this artist created more than 700 paintings and 1,000 drawings, during a career that lasted only 10 years, ending in her premature death at age 31. The third of 7 children, Modersohn-Becker was born in Dresden into a well-to-do and liberal family. Her father, an engineer, encouraged her to become a teacher, while her mother, from a quasi-aristocratic and cultured lineage, supported her daughter's artistic interests, going so far as to take in a boarder to pay for classes, as, fun fact, her father's earning opportunities were limited due to his brother's unsuccessful assassination attempt on the King of Prussia. Yeah, you heard right. When Modersohn-Becker was 10, tragedy struck. While playing, her cousin fell into a sand pit and was buried alive. The event would shape the themes of life and mortality found later in the artist's work. Modersohn-Becker's artistic training was peripatetic. The father relocated the family to Bremen, where she learned to draw. At 16, she stayed with relatives to study in London, but returned home after several months, at which point her parents insisted on a 2-year teacher training program. Upon course completion, she had zero intention of teaching. Modersohn-Becker convinced her father to allow her to study in Berlin at a private school, 6 times the cost of the state-run academy open only to men. A 2-month stint turned into 2 years. She met German feminist Natalie von Milde, who made a deep impression, a tie her parents cut immediately. Modersohn-Becker then studied at Worpswede, an artist colony, and relocated permanently a year later, a move that would prove seminal to her development. She met future husband and founding member Otto Modersohn, 11 years her senior, a financially successful painter married at the time. And it's where she befriended Clara Westhoff, a German sculptor, and Austrian poet Rainer Maria Rilke, who became a sort of artistic soulmate. Upon learning of Modersohn-Becker's engagement, Rilke proposed to Clara. At Worpswede, Modersohn-Becker painted the local children and elderly women, those not working the fields, imbuing her unsentimental portraiture with emotional depth. Many at the colony were alienated by her raw and radical depictions. Of her participation in her first group show, a critic reportedly called her work, quote, a wretched lack of talent. Her father encouraged her to find employment. Devastated but defiant, Modersohn-Becker continued painting. In 1900, with a small inheritance, she began her first of 4 stays in Paris, studying anatomy at the École des Beaux-Arts, newly open to women, and the nude at the Académie Colarossi, where, in a turnabout, she won first prize. She absorbed everything, from classical works at the Louvre, which she found, quote, quite alienating, preferring a less academic approach. In contrast, she was particularly taken with the Egyptian Fayum mummy portraits and African masks for their stylization and simplified form. According to curator Jill Lloyd, Modersohn-Becker's early drawings, quote, show how incredibly skilled she was, and that her attempts to become a modern avant-garde artist were very deliberate, because she could paint like Cranach or Dürer if she wanted. And she studied the influential artists of the day. When she came across Cézanne, it, quote, affected me like a thunderstorm, like some great event. While in Paris, it was the year of the Exposition Universelle, the World's Fair. She invited Otto and others to come. Otto joined her, blind to the terrible condition of his wife, who passed away during his absence. All returned to Worpswede. Just 4 months later, the two were engaged. She became stepmother to his young daughter. He provided for her financially. Her parents insisted on cooking lessons. Paula and Otto's union remained unconsummated, a question of impotency. Her youthful, romantic visions of union faded. Quote, "Marriage destroys the illusion that there existed something like a soulmate." Once again, she returned to Paris. She took more classes, discovered more influences, and all the while needed money. Her style evolved rapidly. Figures simplified. Quote, "Feeling what I am experiencing inside is so much more valuable and important than what goes on outside." Otto wrote in his journal, "Her colors are wonderful, but the form? Hands like spoons, mouths like wounds, faces like cretins. It is difficult to give her advice, as usual." In 1906, 1 year before her death, Modersohn-Becker fled to Paris in the middle of the night, consulted a divorce lawyer, told Otto, quote, "I do not want you as my husband. Accept this fact." But, as always, she needed money. Otto joined her in Paris. They consummated the marriage. She became pregnant, and 18 days after giving birth, died of a postpartum embolism. Her last word, schade. Translated, "What a pity." And what a pity it was. 10 years after her death, Modersohn-Becker's mother published her daughter's letters and journal entries. The book, a German bestseller, was instrumental in shaping the public's perception of her, and soon after, a wealthy collector founded the Paula Modersohn-Becker Museum. Despite her importance to art history and modernism, Modersohn-Becker wouldn't get a retrospective, overseas in Paris, until more than 100 years after her death, and just this year in the US. To quote Modersohn-Becker, "I believe that if you want to achieve something, you have to give your whole being to it." And boy, did she ever. Thanks for watching. Please share, subscribe, and get your art fix on. Until next time.